hope she gets a chest injury.
Moving on to the next team in the NFC South are the New Orleans Saints. So the New Orleans Saints were the division champs last year, but they kind of fumbled a little bit here in the playoffs, and they ultimately did not reach their ultimate goal. Drew Brees is now gone. Tentatively right now, Jameis Winston is the quarterback. Jameis Winston is the quarterback.
One more time.
Jameis Winston. Who that? Yeah. So with the big loss of Drew Brees, Michael Thomas hopefully healthy, Alvin Kamara not liking the 17-game season. How do you have the Saints going this year? What's your overall record?
Ruben, I see you in the chat. I know you're a Saints boy. Look, man, I'm telling you, and I've said this last year. Buckle back me up. Jameis Winston was the best quarterback on the Saints roster last season, and he didn't even get to play. Drew Brees held on for just a little bit too long. Drew Brees is one of all-time greats, don't get me wrong, but he held on for just a little bit too long. The reason why they started Taysom Hill was because they didn't want Jameis Winston to take over and be averaging 30 points a game with this team, because they wanted Drew Brees to be able to come back and finish out his career. They didn't want to have that controversy for Drew Brees, and that's understandable. But now it's Jameis Winston time, baby. And these boys about to eat them dubs.
Oh, don't go.
Give me a 14-3 record for the New Orleans Saints, baby.
14-3.
Who
wow.
that? 14-3. Eating 14 dubs this season.
Who are your three losses?
My 3 losses for the New Orleans Saints, one of them is going to be against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The other one is going to be in Week 12 against the Buffalo Bills. And their first loss will actually come in Week 5 versus a team that you just picked to beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Washington Redskins. And that will be after they go 4-0 to start the season. They will have a slip up right before the bye week in Washington. Then they'll come back off the bye week, ready to go, have a big win against Seattle, a big win against Tampa Bay. They'll chew up Atlanta, chew up Tennessee, chew up Philly. Then they'll lose to Buffalo. Then they'll beat Dallas and the Jets. They'll lose to Tampa, beat Miami, beat Carolina, beat Atlanta.
Wow. So we do have 2 losses the same here. I do have the Bills going into New Orleans and escaping with a
that'll be a great game.
Keyword there is escaping. The only reason why I want to pick the Saints in this game, because it is a Thursday night game, which I think this is the Thanksgiving game, like the Thanksgiving night game, if I'm not mistaken. And I don't think they sweep the Buccaneers this year either. But what is that one game that pops up the screen for you, Combs?
That one game, I'd like to say it's that Washington game, because I think if they beat Washington in Week 5, they start the season 11-0 before Buffalo comes to town. And then they might even beat Buffalo. And then we're talking about they could possibly win this division. And it's going to be a tough division to win, because Tampa Bay is going to be really, really good. But I think the Saints are going to be really, really good. And you're going to split with the Buccaneers. So I really feel like Jameis Winston with this offense, with everything that he's got around him, with Sean Payton, I feel like this is an offense that is ready to explode. I really do. I feel like this offense is about to take off and be back to what they were with Drew Brees 5 years ago. An offense that was just vaunted and you didn't want to play against them because they could put 40 up against you quick. And that's what I think is coming with Jameis Winston. People could talk all they want about that 30 interceptions that he had his last year in Tampa Bay. You know what? That's fine. Give him his one anomaly year. There's lots of quarterbacks who have had those 1 years. Hell, I say it all the time, but Brett Favre had a bunch of those years.
Right.
And he's a Hall of Fame quarterback. Jameis Winston was also that year the only quarterback that threw. So despite those 30 interceptions, also threw for 5,000 yards and 33 touchdowns. And the only quarterback in the league that did it. And I'm telling you, the play calling, as we saw it in the first half of the season last year with Tampa Bay, before Tom Brady took it over, was not what it should have been. And Jameis Winston, with Sean Payton, the genius that Sean Payton is, this team is going to take off. And this team is going to be so. Alvin Kamara is going to be better because of Jameis Winston. The wide receiving core is going to be better because of Jameis Winston. Because not only that, but Jameis Winston can still do some things with his legs too. Don't forget.
Right.
He's not as fat. Like he's not. I'm not saying he's Lamar Jackson, but he can move in that pocket, and he is good when he throws on the run.
Yeah.
He is good when he's throwing on the run. So, I'm telling you, the Saints are going to have a big year, and then at the end of all that, we're going to get to watch Torrey Anderson chew on some last dab sauce, baby.
Yeah. So I want to bring this up here real quick as Ruben says he has them sweeping Carolina, Atlanta, both games splitting with Tampa. That's exactly what I have as well. I do have the Saints going 5-1 end the division, and that is a big key here. But before I give you guys my record, Combs, let me ask you this cool question now. Now, I have been a Winston kind of hater, or maybe not hater, but kind of like a, hey, but what did he do? So what does he need in New Orleans to have a successful career there? Does he need a running game, or does he just need the play calling of Sean Payton to be successful? Like, what do you think he needs to be successful in New Orleans?
What he needs is just the opportunity to run an offense that is geared towards him. Tampa Bay was not that. Tampa Bay's offense was not geared towards him. This New Orleans offense is, and we saw it last year. And when it was time for Drew Brees to go, Drew Brees with him on the sideline says, "It's your team now." Right. Drew Brees molded this kid to take over. That's the reason. Like. And nobody can tell me any different about Taysom Hill playing in those three or four games that Brees missed. It was only so that there wasn't any controversy at the end of the season when Drew Brees came back. They didn't want to have to say, well, Drew, sure, you can come back and play and give us your 20 points per game, but we're averaging 30, 35 with. They didn't want any of that. They didn't want any controversy. They knew Taysom Hill wasn't the guy. So they did what they did. And even at the end of the season when Drew, that was what sealed it for me, was when Drew Brees says, "This is your team now." Like I'm telling you, this kid is going to be good, man.
So David also brings up a great point here, saying that the Saints need a franchise quarterback.
They have one.
And he does not think Winston is is that guy. So do you think Sean Payton molds the offense to Winston's play style, or is it like this is my way or the highway?
No. He's going to do things that are to Winston's strength, which is something that Winston did not get in Tampa Bay.
Right.
Winston also played under 3 head coaches in Tampa Bay? He started out with Lovie Smith.
At least 2.
And then they had another one, and then at his final season,
Bruce
Arians took over. So 3 different head coaches. I think he had 3 or 4 different offensive coordinators too in that time. Like that's not good for a quarterback who is coming up. And it's a recipe for disaster. And I'm not even going to say his final year in Tampa Bay was a disaster. The guy still put up over 5,000 yards and 33 touchdowns.
There still
which no other quarterback in the league did.
I mean,
there was still great to his game. So you might have to take the bad with the good. He might still throw those 15 or 16 interceptions because that's who he seems to be. But also at the same time, I could see him throwing 10 or less interceptions under the Sean Payton offense.
True.
A lot more weapons than what he had in Tampa Bay. We got to remember, he didn't have all the weapons that Tom Brady had because he didn't have Antonio Brown. He didn't have Rob Gronkowski. Yeah, people talk all the time, oh, there's the same team. Tom Brady took over the same. No, he didn't take over the same team. He brought some friends with him.
The only thing he had was Mike Evans, and I think Godwin maybe. But he didn't have the.
And if he could have called up he could have called up Aaron Hernandez from the dead, he would have brought Aaron Hernandez with him too.
Right. So now you had them going 14-3. You said right.
14-3.
And 5-1 end the division, correct? Sweeping the Panthers, sweeping the other team, whoever they are. So I actually had them going 12-5, same as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers here.
Ooh,
I actually have them. The game that I have circled is that Week 10 game when they go to Nashville to take on the Titans. If they full disclosure, I have them losing this game. But if they win this game, they are a 14-win team. But if they lose this game, they are right where I have them at 12-5. This is a catapult
Now, correct me
game.
if I'm wrong. We both had Tennessee at 7-10 last night, right? When we did our picks.
Let me check real quick here. I actually had them. I think it was 8-9 when I had the Tennessee Titans at.
Okay, so
Yeah.
8-9, but
Yeah.
you think they have a down year, but they have a big win versus the Saints, huh?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they.
What do you have their record going into that game?
I have them losing to the Seahawks only, so that would be 8-1.
Okay.
Or so it'd be 7-1 because they got that
bye
early
week.
bye week, a very
Yeah.
early bye week. So that might be bad for
week
the
6.
Saints going in with Michael Thomas's injury prone there. But that week 10 matchup, like, man, that just seems like a very intriguing game, almost like a trap game per se. Even though the Tennessee Titans fans, they came as hard on the clip segment that I posted earlier today, saying that we're overlooking them. They're going to be better than they were last year. You gotta. But that game that I have circled, I do have the Titans winning, but go sit in the corner, Buck. But like every year, you have that one game where the road team forgets to show up. We saw with the Green Bay Packers and San Francisco 49ers a couple years ago. We saw it with the Kansas City Chiefs when they traveled to, I don't know, some New York team. I can't remember who, but they forgot to show up. I mean, every year there's that one game, and I think it's going to be this Week 10 game that they just forget to show up. So, Combs, who is your MVP for the Saints this season?
Jameis Winston, man. Jameis Winston's going to get it done. Jameis Winston is going to do some things. So it's going to have people talking about him maybe being the MVP.
MVP of the whole NFL?
Of the whole league.
Okay. So I think the MVP for the Saints this year is going to be Alvin Kamara. I think this team makes or breaks off of Alvin Kamara's back. He is going to carry a lot of the workload. They are going to be a lot of CMC type of characteristics in Alvin Kamara this year.
Wouldn't surprise me at all.
I would not be surprised if he touches the ball at least 25, 26 times a game. And Michael Thomas almost gets frustrated because he's not getting targeted 15, 16 times a game like he was in previous seasons. But I think Alvin Kamara is the big comment. Good.
Let's get to this comment here by David Dix. Says, Winston has had awesome receivers at Tampa Bay. The first 5 games with him at the helm will determine his future in New Orleans. I don't disagree with you. He had good wide receivers. Look, but we saw last year, even with Tom Brady, that not only is Evans not really that great of a wide receiver. Like, I mean, he's good. Don't get me wrong. He's definitely a good wide receiver in the NFL.
He needs that Batman to his Robin type thing, or the Robin.
He does. And the what's the number 2 over there?
Godwin.
Godwin. He's hurt all the time.
Yeah.
He's hurt. He gets hurt all the time, and he was hurt that final season that he was in. So he didn't. I wouldn't say he had great wide receivers because he lost Godwin for, I think Godwin was out for 5 or 6 games that year. And Evans is not just an all by himself wide receiver. He's not Julio Jones. He's not, he's not one of those top guys, So I get what you're saying, but I think people write him off, and I think people have a bad taste in his mouth because people automatically, well, he threw 30 interceptions. He probably threw 23. I would venture to say at least 7 of those probably tipped off at the line, or a receiver maybe ran the wrong route, or whatever the case is. I never put all of a quarterback's interceptions on a quarterback.
All righty. So any more comments that we want to address before we head to our